Hello everyone, it's Howard, and welcome to episode 2, Road to Recreational Pilot, Flight Section. This is the flight section for straight and level flying. As you can see right now, we are set up at more or less trimmed a normal cruise, 100 knots, just a tad too much power, 2200 RPM. So, as you can see, we are set up in normal cruise with the proper power setting, the proper attitude, the good speed, and there's a little bit more tweaking and we're more or less trimmed out. So this is what you want to do. As we briefed, normal cruise is 2200 RPM and 100 knots. Easy. This is normal cruise. And remember this attitude. And as I taught you before, we are doing the A-lap work cycle. So it's attitude. We need to verify the attitude. Lookout. You got to do the lookout. So I'm not actually going to do it because it's a flight sim. But in the real thing, you'll do scanning from the left wingtip, left clear, center clear, and then right clear. You're going to keep doing that. After that, what you're going to do is you are going to verify the attitude again, which we're more or less set, and then performance. What you're going to do is you're going to look at these two instruments. Altimeter, not unwinding anywhere, not winding up anywhere, and VSI, more or less the same. Here's a quick tip: don't chase the VSI. Normally there is around a 1 to 2 second lag to it. Some are worse. I've seen worse. I've seen a 5-second lag from VSI before, and yeah, but so basically, I think the biggest tip here is that you are pursuing a VFR license. Therefore, you have to exercise a rule called the 90-10 rule. 90% I'm looking out here. 10% I'm looking down here. That's all it is. And I remember one of my classmates back in flight school when I got my recreational pilot license. He said, if you have to choose between the big TV screen and the small TV screen, what will you choose? Of course you choose the big TV screen. That's a funny way of putting it. But anyway, this is more or less normal cruise. Let's transition to fast cruise, shall we? So as we said, PAST. Power set to 2400. Attitude set to the prescribed attitude for fast cruise, around here. It's hard to do it in flight sim. Speed, as we can see, building up to 110, and then wait for it. Speed is more or less set 110, 115 knots now. Attitude is good, and trim. And for all intents and purposes, this is only like a 40-foot deviation, so I'm not going to correct for it. In reality, I'm much more OCD than that. I'll actually correct for it. And just some fine-tuning of the trim you may probably hear. I'm just pushing buttons for trim. Not the best, but it works. And we're set. So, because we're light, one person on board, me, 112 knots, 110, around 110 knots. That's good. That's pretty good. So that's fast cruise. And let's go from fast cruise to slow cruise. Slow cruise, power, 1900. Attitude, we're going to set the attitude, so it's a bit more nose up. Around here. Around here. Power, attitude, speed, coming down slowly, but we're going to let the speed come down even further first. And what I'm going to do, what I'm doing right now is I am also using the vertical speed indicator just to get a rough estimate, but most of the time I'm focusing my lookout outside. So I'm just refining a little bit. It seems like I've gone into an updraft. I do have active sky next on, and yeah, it seems to me that I have gone into a little bit of an updraft. I'm going to make a left turn here, just for all intents and purposes. Just try and get away from the updraft to get a better understanding of what a slow cruise really looks like. I've climbed now. That does look like an updraft. See, that's active sky next free. I'm gonna turn back to over the sea. Hopefully that'll be better. But yeah, so basically I'm not even trimmed out yet, so I'm holding back pressure. In real life, I'll be so tired because this is a Cessna 172. Elevator can get heavy, so there you go. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to turn back out to sea, avoid those updrafts, and I do have active sky next on. That's because, and this is also for if any of you don't know, medium level turns. Going to teach you in the coming few episodes, but not now. You're not advanced enough yet. You got to learn the basics. Looks like we've gone away from the updraft. Right, we're going to set the attitude, just like so. We got the speed roughly around 80 knots. 80, just above 80. That's fine. We're going to trim just for this attitude. Just going to trim. I'm trimming up right now, obviously, because I remember rule of thumb: decelerate, trim up; accelerate, trim down. Easy. What I'm going to do is I'm just looking outside right now. Trust me. That's all I'm doing. I'm just looking outside, and looks like the updraft got lost again. But I think you get the point. All right. I think the biggest tip here, the biggest takeaway here is that your primary control is actually outside. Your primary reference is this, the horizon here. And another good reference is the compass. You can put the compass and horizon. That's a pretty good reference as well. That's really useful, especially when you're coming into land, but I'm not going to get onto that yet. But yeah, so there's slow cruise, and let's do slow cruise to fast cruise. Why not? So this is what you'll be doing in real life anyway. You're going to be, let's get a little bit closer to land in case if I lose the engine. This is A2A. I do have damage simulation on, and if I lose the engine, I'm stuffed. I need to get back to coast. So alright, so let's go back to fast cruise. So again, power 2400. There's no rush to do anything in flight training, really. Attitude, set the attitude. There's no rush, literally, really, there's no rush. Attitude, we're going to set the attitude to around here. Speed, it's coming up slowly but surely. Don't trust the VSI. Also, our attitude has drifted up a little bit, so I'm going to put it back down. Speed's building, and we can start trimming. And trimming in the simulator, trust me, it's hard. Trimming in real life, it's actually really easy. Trimming in real life because you can feel the control pressures, and right now I'm sort of guessing, but gets the point across. So there we go. The only instrument I really looked at was this and this. I didn't even look at anything, and I think you will all agree that I'm basically holding this more or less the same altitude. And let's go from fast cruise to normal cruise. So I got 2200 set, power, attitude, get the attitude set, speed coming down slightly, slowly but surely. And I think this also proves the point that in aviation, you don't need to rush anything. Just take it slow. It's like a walk in the park. Just take it slow. There's no need to rush anything. And this would be really apparent in the next few lessons. Don't need to rush anything. The more things that you got going on, the slower you need to be, weirdly. So there we go. There we go. I'm just looking outside. Attitude, lookout, attitude, and performance. Looks like I'm going down a little bit, so I'm just going to reset the attitude a bit. So basically, how we put it across, how I would like to say is that the horizon is your primary control. The altimeter and the vertical speed is sort of your quality control, your QC. It controls the quality of your flight, controls how precise you are. But the general gist of it is just by looking outside. That's it, really. And I think a lot of people, they use simulators, and I understand why instructors are a bit hesitant on people using simulators, is that they stare at instruments a lot. And you know, I was like that as well, and it took me a long time to break that habit. But let me tell you, once you start looking outside, your flying would be really precise, super precise. Just trust me, hand on heart. if you start looking outside, your flying will be so precise. Because right now, that's all I'm doing. I'm looking outside. And next few episodes, you'll realize the value of looking outside. Trust me. So, if you once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me on the comment section. And stay tuned for the next few episodes. It's gonna be tough for me to film. Hopefully, you're gonna enjoy it, and hopefully, you can learn something out of it. So, if you have any questions, comment below. And for now, have fun, fly safe.